plank leg raise is a fantastic lower body and core exercise for runners. So when we're in this position, you're in that standard plank position and then you're lifting your leg up. So there's a couple things going on here. So first off, let's talk about what we're working on with our core when we do this. So it's a great core exercise because we're working one side and then the other side. Just like when you run, you have these kind of twisting rotational forces where each time you lift one leg up, your body wants to fall to that side and you need to activate your core to stabilize and hold yourself in place. So just like when we're running, this is super kind of running specific because we're able to work opposite sides and really work on our ability to control those twisting motions. The other thing that you'll work on as well with the plank leg raise is you're lifting your legs on alternating sides and you use your glutes exclusively to do this lift. So you're in this nice stabilized plank position. When you lift that leg upwards, you're activating your glutes and kind of working on the ability to isolate and activate that specific muscle, which is going to power up your running stride and make you a little bit faster runner. To set ourselves up, what we're going to do is first assume a plank position. So for our plank position, what we want to do is we want to have anything that's supporting weight, we want to have it perpendicular with the ground. So what I mean here is when I'm in my plank position, I want to have my elbows right underneath my shoulders. If I'm back like this, it's going to be much more difficult to maintain that stability. And likewise, if I'm all the way forwards, it's going to be more challenging. So I want to have everything nice and perpendicular to the ground. The other thing that you want to do is with your hand positioning. So a lot of people, when they do a plank, they like to kind of hold their arms this way. You've got your forearms on the ground in kind of a V position. The problem here is that when you get into that kind of rotated position, it tends to hunch your shoulders forward. So what we want to do is we want to keep our arms parallel. So you've got this 90-degree angle at the shoulder and the elbow, and you've also got your arms like this on the floor. What that does is it opens up our shoulders, it lets us drop those shoulders down, and it helps us maintain a lot stronger position through our shoulders. So instead of being on the ground with our hands clasped like this, where we tend to hunch a little bit, we straighten them out, we can drop those shoulders and get into a really nice plank position like this. So to do our plank leg lift, all you're gonna do is come up into that plank position, and then from here, one leg at a time, you're gonna lift and set back down. And that lift that you do, you wanna make sure that it's coming from your glutes. So you squeeze your butt cheek, lift that leg up, and then you're gonna set it back down. There's two different ways we can adjust the difficulty of this exercise. So first, we can adjust the difficulty of the plank by changing how we set the exercise up. The other thing we can do is change the difficulty of the leg lift, and that's going to be by adding a little bit of weight. So in terms of adjusting difficulty for our plank, the two things you can do here, you can either do your plank from your feet like so, or you can do your plank, make it a little bit easier, and you can do your plank from your knees. If you're going from the knees, you can still do that leg lift on one side, and then your leg lift on the other side. It just makes it a little bit more, a little bit easier because you're shortening the levers that you have to stabilize while you're in that plank position. And then in terms of adding some weight to make it a little bit more difficult, what you can do is take an ankle weight, strap one onto each foot, and that way when you do those leg lifts, your glutes are gonna have to work a little bit harder to lift that weight up and back down again. There are a lot of different modifications that you can do for a plank. The big one that some people find is either doing a plank from their forearms. It's gonna be a little bit too difficult, or it's gonna be a little bit tricky on kind of the positioning of your shoulder. So the first thing that you can do is you can do a plank from your hands instead. This one, it'll bug some people's wrists, but a lot of people are okay with it. Same idea, you wanna have that nice kind of perpendicular transfer of force all the way through to your wrists. Shoulder width apart for those hands, and you're gonna do your plank from this position. You can do your leg lift like so. So that might be a little bit nicer for you. Or you can kind of play around with, if you're from your forearms, you can play around with the angle. Sometimes if you're a little forward, a little backwards, out or in, you can kind of adjust, play around with those angles and find out what's gonna be the most comfortable for your shoulders. As an alternative to the plank leg lift, one thing you can substitute in is some type of an exercise where you're still alternating loading one side of the body and then the other. So this could be something like a bird dog or even a donkey kick. So for a bird dog, you're in a position like this, and then from here, you're gonna extend out opposite arm and opposite leg, come back to the middle, and then you're switching sides and coming back in. So it's gonna be a lot more gentle. It's gonna be a little bit of a different motion. However, we're still working through our core, loading one side and then the other side as we go through that. Same idea with a donkey kick. You're just working on the glutes and kind of on that leg lift side of things. So those are the two main modifications and alternatives that you can do for this exercise.